Hello everyone, and welcome to another lecture in the Sports Medicine Performance course at Concordia University. This time we'll be talking about performance-enhancing drugs and looking at the real issues involved. So let me get everything started for you. Promise this will be a short, maybe 5 to 10 minute PowerPoint, about 7 slides. I've already kind of mentioned the topic for today. I think you'll enjoy it, especially some of the pictures. We have many things to consider when we talk about performance-enhancing drugs. So first of all, what are they? How do they become so prevalent in sports? And should athletes be able to use them? That is a hot topic that has been around over the past 2 decades especially. Performance-enhancing drugs have been used for years and years, even dating back to the early Olympics, mid-century at the very least, or at least that we knew of. But people have been using things like caffeine ever since early times, and that is considered a performance-enhancing drug. A lot of us may think, oh, anabolic steroids, but there are way more things than anabolic steroids out there. You just go to a local GNC or any kind of supermarket, grocery store, drugstore, you're going to find things. So we're going to focus on the important stuff. Does the media blow things out of proportion? Perhaps. I don't know why we make it such a political debate sometimes, but we seem to want to get the White House involved when we have a lot of other things going on that are probably more important, like poverty and children without parents, no food to take to school, how our kids learn in a classroom, those kind of things. But then again, we look at things like professional baseball, basketball, track and field, the Olympics, and we think about performance-enhancing drugs, and they kind of suck up all the media time and all of our time as the media tries to get us involved. Proper use of such drugs. So some performance-enhancing drugs are used in adequate ways, actually, and I'll try to tell you about that a little bit. Something that I would want you to think about is something called EPO, or epopoetin you might have heard of, or basically it's this mechanism where it's a drug that helps our kidneys make new red blood cells, and it's one of those things like we think about the Tour de France and blood doping, where you take your blood out, you let it get oxygenated, then you put it back in your body and it gives you this advantage. So EPO allows us to make more and more, especially in people who have low hemoglobin. It's something that is very important for those kind of people, or people that are cancer patients. And the government and its role. So what should the government be doing, and what should we as sports medicine type professionals or people involved with sport try to do? So what's worse? Tobacco, alcohol, anabolic steroids, multiple children or marriages, gun violence? A lot of those things all encompass sports, right? So you might have, and this isn't meant to be offensive to anyone, it's just kind of speaking in open type factual forums, but you could have a professional athlete who has had children with 5 different moms and he doesn't see any of those children. That's pretty bad. I look at that in my own personal ethical life as maybe being worse than someone who's taking drugs and wins a home run award like Barry Bonds did. Neither of them is correct or right, and I talk about that more in the ethics in sports course that I teach, but they're still both bad. Gun violence, another topic that has been of much debate. So here's a picture's not so clear, but you can see a difference in Barry Bonds in 1991. And then, 13 years later, you see Barry, he's a bigger man. His biceps are about twice the size. Can't really see his quads here, but I've seen him in person, and he is about twice the size of what he was before. Still an incredible athlete at 1991. Incredible. Great genetics. Even a godfather named Willie Mays. And so he had a lot going for him. Mark McGwire, I mean, all I need here is a picture of Mark McGwire when he was at USC, and you can see how much he's blown up. His forearms are twice the size, and he's in his mid-20s there with Jose Canseco, who also is one of the other athletes. And look how big Jose is here with the Rays. But these guys all use performance-enhancing drugs, whether they denied them or not at first. They did. And then we have Lance Armstrong, Tyson Gay, A-Rod, Marion Jones, and Mr. Braun from the Brewers, who I actually have worked with before. So all of these athletes have, at one time in their lives, used performance-enhancing drugs, and they've won their sports and won their events because of them. So I told you it'd be a quick slideshow, but I'll go back for a second and we'll go through a couple things again and see what you remember for yourself and kind of reiterate things that you might see on a quiz or in your own lives. So again, what are they? Oh, everything from caffeine to anabolic steroids to pre-workout supplements to Chinese herbs that some athletes might use. How did they become so prevalent? Well, people realized that they worked and they worked well and they could help me win. And so people started buying them, creating them. People were making them in their own homes. Should all athletes be able to use them? Well, that's the question. That's the ethical question, and you'll have to decide that for yourself. But I guarantee you're in a place where they're probably not allowed to be used. Focusing on the important stuff. We went through this, but the media, I would think, does blow things out of proportion sometimes. There are proper reasons to use them. So think of medical treatments, like I mentioned. And then the government. And what is its role? Should the government be regulating what professional organizations do? Do they regulate what medical professionals do? They do. So we must think about those things. So what's worse? Well, I didn't talk about this before, but tobacco causes cancer in many, many ways, from mouth, lip, to neck, lung, bladder cancer. Crazy things that cigarettes and tobacco use do. And I could make a lecture in and of itself. Alcohol. Some say it's okay to have one glass a night. Sure. It's been proven to have some good benefits because of what's inside grapes and the nutrients there, like phytochemicals. Anabolic steroids. Well, they make us bigger. A lot of us tend to think that if we use them when we get a lot of muscles, we're going to look bigger and better and make us bigger, faster, stronger. We talked about the multiple children and marriages and gun violence. So just things I want you to consider. Barry Bonds, great example of an athlete who's no longer playing, but he had quite an impact, especially in his years with steroid use. Was his home run king and being the most home runs ever, is that because he used anabolic steroids, or was he just a better athlete? Mark McGwire kind of fell off the face of the earth. He's now a coach, but his career didn't keep going for too long. Him and Barry were back-to-back, and there was another guy I don't have a picture of, but Sammy Sosa, another questionable athlete about drugs. And all of these guys you've heard of. But what's funny about all these stories is eventually all these athletes came out and they admitted. So they were in total denial at first, and then they came out a month or two, a year later, and said, wow, I did mess up. So thank you so much for your attention. I hope that you got something out of this lecture, and I really look forward to hearing about your thoughts on performance-enhancing drugs throughout the course. Thank you.